Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, MegaRuler31. Going to be breaking down the Xfinity race at Road America. Sorry, I was wrong last week. It is not at Richmond. I thought all three series was there, but they are at Road America. So I also said last week that I was going to have oral surgery, which I did yesterday, and they did a really good job. So thank you, Northern Country Dental. And I'm feeling okay, and I think I should be able to make it through this video, which is good because we've got a lot to talk about. So, Road America, road course, 79 degrees. Not going to be a bad day out there. Not super hot like some places in the Northeast or all over America have been recently. So, this is a standalone race, which means that they'll be out of controlled pits. So they have 75-second minimum that they have to wait to make a pit stop, and then they can go back on the track. But there's no change in like track position or anything like that. So there's really no strategy in the pit because they don't want. Usually some of these teams have to borrow from like Cup or Truck or whatever series is at the track with them. Because they don't have that, they don't want to give anybody a severe disadvantage for the teams that can't afford to hire a full-time pit crew and not share with somebody else. So, to keep it competitive, that's what they do here. Some other facts. This track has been repaved for the first time since 1995. It is slick. There's a lot of grip on it, but it is very slick if people kick stuff up on it. And we saw a lot of cars wreck in practice. And they wrecked, and they said it wasn't because, well, some of them misjudged the speed going into the corners because they were used to it in previous years. There being bumps and not having as much grip and being able to but they're carrying so much speed because they have so much grip that it's just disaster. Especially there's a high speed kink. I think it's like turn 10 into turn 11 potentially, which is called the Canada corner. That's where we saw a lot of the guys wipe out back into the fence, damage to cars, people going to backup cars. But again, some of them said it was not because they had too much speed. It's because other cars had gotten off and kicked debris onto the track. And when they hit that, it was like black ice and they just went absolutely flying. I think the only other thing that we need to really look at is Joe Gibbs Racing has won 3 out of the last 4 races here. So that's something else to consider. So if you look at box scores and look back and do independent research on your own, just a couple things to keep into context. I am not using for like all the road races this year the Chicago one, because remember that was cut short by rain, and where people ended up wasn't necessarily where they would have ended up because they pit and the NASCAR called it way too early and it was just absolute disaster. So that race I'm not including. I'm not even looking back at Road America last year, because if you don't remember, I believe it was Sage Cram was got kind of cut Noah Gragson off racing in a racing move around a corner, and Gragson got mad at him and banged him, and he banged him back. Gragson turned like right in a corner, and it looked like a Daytona or Talladega crash. Like, we lost a lot of good cars in that. Is something that doesn't typically happen at a road course, but the way it did and the dust that came up, the people in the back couldn't see, and they all just smashed into each other. There's cars, like I think the 10 car almost flipped over on its roof, which you don't see that on a road course with the speeds that they run. So lots of things here to consider. So you have a lot of guys have never run here before, so that kind of helps them get the feel. They did have a 50-minute practice, but some people lost their car so early in practice they didn't get a full feel for it. So we'll start to break that down, and you'll see a lot of colors on the screen. So AJ Allmendinger is actually right below the cut line, so close to making the playoffs for but he's kind of mailing in the Richmond race. He wanted to come out here and win this one. He's never won at Road America. He wants to come out here and dominate. He's a men and boys here. He is absolutely proficient at road courses. He is probably the best in his generation at road courses. So, and it's probably a generational talent at road courses, and probably something that we won't see again for a while. And we really just need to appreciate that, how good he is at these types of tracks. So he's in the field. That's why he's got the gold banner. The ones with the dark color brown, they're what you call like ringers. So they're people that are proficient on road courses, don't normally drive in Xfinity. Sometimes they do, like Cram has run some other races, but he's really good at road courses, but he's not a regular driver in the series. Brad Prez, same thing. And Catherine Legge, if you watch Indianapolis IndyCar racing, she was the first female driver to run like 4 consecutive laps over like 220 or something. Did really well in the qualifying for the Indianapolis 500. Has a lot of open wheel, and she's raced here in an Indy car before, I believe. So knows the track a little bit. Has run a couple of those Xfinity races, and wants to try to get in here. So with all the wrecks and issues with practice, you'll see that there are 8 guys on the bottom that are kind of in a pink or chartreuse or purple or whatever color you want to call that. Those ones, with the exception of Clements, they couldn't qualify because they had issues and didn't even run a qualifying lap. And Clements did, but he wrecked early on and tore up the car. And I don't know if he's going to go to a backup or what's going on with that. So the way I look at this is with those 8 cars here, probably 30th through 22nd would probably be dead last in the back of the field if all these other cars could qualify, because they're usually better drivers and better equipment than them. So you have like a whole range here. Watch my cursor. Like all these drivers here, and maybe I should color them in yellow or something, are drivers that are their qualifying times and starting positions inflated. So most of these people potentially could end up going back about 8 positions each. So we got to keep that in consideration as we go through the breakdown. These drivers in green here, Wisconsin's their home state. They know this track, especially Josh Bilicki. This is his home track. He's run so many laps on this track. He teaches people how to drive road courses on this track. And how he got into like NASCAR and Xfinity racing was he saw that the Xfinity Series was coming to Road America. He saw that a car was TBA. He started making phone calls and said, I want the seat. I want the seat. I want the seat. He got the seat. He did well. And which is pretty cool that he was able to do that and be able to kind of make his way into the series as a regular at different levels. So that's what we got. So let's look at the top and go on down. So AJ Allmendinger, obviously, and then in the in column is where they are for the playoffs. So I'll just sort it that way quickly just to kind of show you. So these guys are below the cut line, but have a chance to make it with points because they still have like 6 or 7 races left. Trucks only have 1. This weekend's going to be the final one, but there's some room to improve. So Brella, Jones, Moffitt, and Klingerman have some work to do. Currently above the cut line are Herbst, Creed, Mayer, Hemrick, and Barry. So that's how many points they are above. So Barry's in the best position, followed by Hemrick, Mayer, et cetera, et cetera. Custer, Allgaier, Nemechek, Smith, Hill, Chandler, and Jeb Burton are in because they've won races. And then the rest of these guys with the red W are guys that are full-timers that would qualify if they win a race to make it into the playoffs. I don't think, maybe Clements is the only one that Ryan Sieg that I could see potentially making it in based on a win, or somebody'd have to have a lot of luck. I mean, maybe there's a Talladega race or something or weird coming up that somebody could luck box their way in. And the guys with the black X's are not regulars in the series. It doesn't matter if they win or not. They're just going for trophies in this race specifically. They're not going to win to get in. But it's not desperation time yet, but I think it's time to start looking at that and talking about that. Color coding here. The blues are not that they're great on road courses. They're better than the average driver. So AJ Allmendinger, I think you have to play him. This isn't like Kyle Busch where he's like 13,000 or 14,000 in the truck series, and the rest of your lineup is going to be absolute. You have to really make some sacrifices to get him in. I think he's perfectly fine here, well priced at 10-6. Custer, I think, did really well also and he was holding number 1 position in qualifying, but they did it in like different groups and kept on eliminating groups. So AJ Allmendinger finally ended up besting him, but Custer was ahead for a while. So he has the speed 4th in practice. he's had his ups and downs in road courses, but on Coda, there's Coda or Sonoma, one of the two. He got taken out by Parker Kligerman. He was doing well, and Nemechek, they all were like battling, and Creed I think was in there too, and or maybe that was in Portland. He actually benefited from it, but anyways. At 10-2, I got to put him as GPP. If you want to try to get the two of them in, that's fine. But I think there's other drivers that I'd rather try to get in. I think he's great to start your GPP line off with. And probably I'd recommend that if you're fading Allmendinger, just in case something happens. But AJ should be able to go out there and absolutely dominate this race, unless something weird mechanically happens. He was complaining about the handling of the car and said that they'd eventually figure it out. But I think he just looked really good out there. He's just been so good at sorry, this should be track average, just notice that. Like track style average. So, Custer, again, I think he's gotten better at road course racing here, but I think there's some other drivers, and 10-2 is just a lot to pay for him. Allgaier, all his numbers point to, if AJ Allmendinger wasn't in here, he'd be like the number one guy, and he'd be the prime pick for me. And can you get all Geyer and Allmendinger and some of the other place differential guys in? Potentially, I really haven't tried to build that way yet. But if you want to try that in the lineup, that's fine. But I think he's a cash play. Riley Herbst, I know we're usually apprehensive in playing him. He finds trouble often, but he looked really good out here. Fourth overall in the ranking, second overall in practice. He ran some fast laps. This car seemed to be dialed in. He seems to know what he's doing. He seems to be comfortable on this track. Really like him. Mayer, I think it can be cash also, and I like the price on Hearst at 81. Mayer at 88 is not bad either. I think, and Hearst, I think will have really low ownership. Sorry. Okay. I'm done with Hearst now. Mayer, I think he'll have medium ownership, like 15th in practice, did better in qualifying. But again, it was that group thing where you got into, and he really pushed it to try to get into the first group and of top five, and then did well to end up here. But I don't think has the most dominant car, but it is his home state. I think he knows this track pretty well, and I think he's a decent cash play. Sage Karam did well in qualifying and everything. Does well on road courses, but I still think he's a GPP here, although all the Toyotas looked pretty good. He's had some rough finishes recently, but I think that's why he's going to be a GPP. Can't really play him in cash, but I think he could be someone if you're definitely multi-entering, definitely keep him in your field as someone that could potentially not. He could luck box a win this race. You never know if like something weird happens or the leaders take each other out or something. He could be there at the end. I think he's got enough pedigree to do that. Connor Mosaic is a younger driver. Also, he's won in Trans Ams. And he's raced here in Trans Ams before. He hasn't won, so he knows the course pretty well. He's in a Joe Gibbs car, which I said, has done really well. Also, 10th in practice, 7th in qualifying. It's off the track a little bit, but nothing too egregious, not too much damage to the car. So I think that, just some minor things to fix, but I think, he uses it as a learning and he'll be fine. John Hunter Nemechek, I think people are really going to like this with the place differential and the 9,800 price tag. I prefer Allgaier for $100 more, just based on everything, because John Hunter Nemechek, even though he comes third in everything on the road courses, it just seems like he can find trouble at the most inopportune time. So that's why he's going to be GPP. But again, if you want to start your lineup with Nemechek and Custer, then that's definitely, I think, a very, very strong pairing for your GPP line, and probably would be part of my GPP core. Kaz Grala, again, is really good at road courses. 6th fastest in practice. Hasn't really gotten the results, but he's in a bunch of different cars. So, but the Sam Hunt one looked good. I don't remember him having any incidents in practice and stuff. So Sammy Smith, again, he's another good one at road courses. He could be the sleeper out of all these Toyotas here. I think he'll be highly owned, though. We've seen him do really well at Coda. Portland had some mechanical troubles, like lost his brakes or something. But if you throw that one out, like, he's been solid here. Starting 10th, there's some place differential, definitely. to be able to move up a little bit there. So definitely like him. Blicky at GPP, I think you got to consider him here, how well he looked in practice and qualifying and everything, even though it's not the greatest car in the 91 DGM. I mean, it's not a bad situation. And I think just his knowledge of the track and everything, and he's looked pretty good handling the new paving and everything. He's probably, driven on it previous after they did the paving, because he lives out here and just probably has the most time on the track with the new paved job to understand it. So I think definitely he's someone to I'd consider. So yeah, maybe that'd be my GPP core. Custer, Nemechek, and Bulicki for you there. And then you can fill in with whoever else you want with place differential wise or things like that. But that gives you some value there at the 6,600. Think he'll be able to hang out in the top 15 and be able to make value there. Sheldon Creed, he's pushing too hard here. Like, he's had some really good road courses. He's a really good road course driver, but he is super aggressive, and he was flying off the track. He was one of the first ones to get damage to the car. They fixed it, didn't have to go to a backup. Then we see him like off the track again a little bit. I just don't think he can keep all four wheels on the track for every single lap and not get himself into trouble pushing it too hard. He might actually win the race because of it, because of his aggressiveness. If you're not that aggressive, then why be out there? He wants to win, but I think they need to make sure he starts to calm down. I don't even know if that's in his DNA, because he's 50 points above the cut line right now. And again, there's a lot of races left to go, but I think at some point they're going to need to get into hold the line, don't do anything to lose your playoff position, because yes, they'd love to get in there and fight for a championship. And the better they do in races, the more points they're going to get to starting off the playoffs to be able to advance faster through the rounds. But if you don't even make it, it doesn't matter. So I just think eventually they might have to have that talk with Creed. Barry, he's been good at road courses, really good last year, but not as much this year. He has some issues in Sonoma, but I think he'll still be high owned. I think he's definitely a top 10 driver with some upside. Hill, I really like here. I think, I don't know if I can get Allmendinger, Allgaier, and Hill all in the same lineup with the pricing of the place differential guys that you want to get in. But I definitely you're going to be considering Austin Hill. He'll definitely be in some of my lineups with Allmendinger. I just really impressed with everything he's done this season. If you throw out Coda, he has been solid, top 8 average running position in most road courses this season. He's starting 14th. He didn't look bad in practice at all. He looked decent. I just don't think he was pushing as much as some of the other ones were. But again, I think he just wanted to save the car, see what he had, make the adjustments. And I think that he's one that can rise up through take advantage of other people's mistakes to improve his position. I think he'll be good. And he's aggressive, but he's not cutthroat aggressive like Creed. I think he's aggressive, and he picks his marks and going to be able to do what he can to advance his position and do well. Brett Moffitt, he looked good out here. I know he early on spun out, but he didn't hit the wall. He was able to save it. Just some minor damage to the car, but he came out here, qualified 15th, 12th fastest in practice. He's a top 15 car, and if he finished where he starts, and he's got a chance to make up some ground here. He's not quite blue, but he's getting close to being the color blue for the road courses. So we'll see after this one how he does, but he might start to get there as somebody that I consider proficient, because he's made a lot of progress recently. Chandler Smith, he was all over the track in the qualifying laps too. He got overhead, a little bit of minor damage in the car. He's already in the playoffs. So GPP, I think at 9,200, there's so many other people that I'd rather play. I'd rather drop down to Sammy Smith over him in the Joe Gibbs car, or pay up a little bit more, or even take Josh Berry for 100. I just really not feeling him here for this race. Parker Klingerman, I think, is a good cash play here, and I think I'd pay 200 more for him. I think he's calmed down a little bit. Earlier on, he was like way too aggressive in some of these road courses and caused some issues in wrecks, even on speedways. But I think, he is really close to, actually, he's got some work to do too to get into the playoffs. So, and eighth in practice, and he stayed out there. He was trying so hard to get a good time, to be able to make it into like the playoff rounds for qualifying. So I think he's definitely great at road courses. I think he's started to figure out the new paving on this track, and I think with his aggressiveness also, but he's more like Creed aggressive. Like he's somewhere in between. He's like in between like Hill and Creed. Like he's more aggressive than Hill, but he's not like as reckless as Creed is. So he has been at points, but I've seen improvement recently. So I think I'm safe playing him in cash. I think it'll be probably highly owned, like starting 17th. Josh Williams he's getting better road courses, but just not really his style. And I just gotta fade him here. I think he's starting way too far forward. I think this is where we start to feel some of the inflation from like the cars that did not qualify or run a qualifying lap. Same thing with Jed Burt and GPP. Parker Retzlaff, he's only a GPP here because he it's his home state, and I think he knows this, but he's been like hot and cold on road courses. I think he's got a lot to learn. I think he will learn. I think maybe next year we'll see a huge step forward, and he may be even in the blue, but he's not there yet. Brad Perez, saw him in the sand. Same thing with Honeyman. Both these Alpha Prime ones, but I think Perez, just based on his body of experience, I think we can consider GPP. Honeyman's a fade. Anthony Alfredo, this is not his style of racing. He's a fade. Catherine Legge, I think, is interesting. I'll definitely play some shares at 54 to see, if her experience, but this green light racing car is just scary. And I know she had a little bit of minor damage going off the track, but I think, they're just were able to like rebend out the wheel wells and stuff. So no tire rubs or anything. I don't think there's any maybe cracked a split or anything. If she ends up going to the back, I mean, that's, we'll have to see too, like, because some of these people did have some more damage. So this lineup might even shuffle up even more, which makes these plays that are in like the kind of purple towards the bottom potentially be even better plays, because they may be scored at like Weatherman might be scored at 38th, but if 5 cars have to go to the back behind him, then he starts to like with 33 and already has 5 place differential positions there naturally built in to when the race starts. So I have to watch for things like that. But Legge, I think, is definitely interesting. Perkins, GPP. Again, I think kind of inflated here. Needs a win to get in, but I don't think he's got talent to do it. Pool's not a road course guy. Fade for me. Kyle Sieg is a GPP. It's a decent car. He's probably top 20 to get to like 25th is probably a ceiling. So probably a top 30 is appropriate for him. So, but I don't know where he would have ended up if all these other people qualified, probably closer to the back. So he would have more place differential opportunity there, but he really doesn't. So he's GPP, almost a fade for me here, 31st in practice. And then Barrett, Emlyn, and Stacy, fade. If there were more cars in this field, I don't think any of them would have made it in here. I'm not playing any of those cars. So now we come to the guy. So Clements, GPP. I think he's gonna be highly owned because he has one here back in like the 17, I think, road course. He's decent at road courses, but he had a lot of damage. Like his car was like on fire when you hit like the curb, busted the front splitter. I don't know if they'll have to go to the backup car or what they'll have to do to this car. He might end up starting like again below Weatherman. It depends on how these guys all shuffle out from the qualifying or what they have to do adjustment wise to get things fixed. So we'll have to really pay attention to what order they're actually going to start, but it's not too hard for them if you know what you're doing to make it up. I don't know if I'd feel better if he actually did go to a backup car, if they did get things fixed, but if it's like a water pump or an oil pump or something that was damaged and they fixed it and then it fails again, I mean, it just could end his day so early. So too much of risk here. Hemrick, They had some like kind of electrical issue or something, so they couldn't make qualifying run, but the car looked really good in practice. So, and he's learned a lot from Allmendinger. He's got to be a prime play here. I'm confident that they will get that issue fixed, and he'll be able to go out there and definitely move up from 32nd position. Brandon Jones, I think, is going to be very chalky. I can't list him. A lot of people are going to core him. A lot of other sites will probably list him as core, and I get it, but he really messed up his car. He's going to a backup car. The backup car was a shell. They have to move the engine. They have to move everything. They have no chance to go out there and practice with it, run anything on it, check anything out. They have to completely pull the engine and all the good parts off of the first car and put everything, adjust the seat, give her everything adjusted, the aerodynamics. It's way too much. I know this is an aerodynamic track, but with the braking and everything, too much can go wrong. I'm going to leave him as a cash play because I get it with the upside, but he's not a good road course driver either. So that's the other downside to this. I far prefer Hemrick for $400 more. Even Ryan Sieg, who's next down there for $1,000 less, I think is a much better play here. But I will play some Brandon Jones, but I think he's more of a GPP guy for me than a cash guy. I just see too many things going wrong here. So I can't make him a core play like I know other people are probably going to tell you that, he's going to be an absolute lock. I just can't in good conscience say that to you. Ryan Sieg, I feel much better about him. Joe Graff Jr. is always a fade. He's not a road course driver. I don't even know what happened to him that he couldn't qualify here, but look at his numbers, 37th overall rank. It's just don't play Joe Graff Jr. Ryan Ellis, I think there is some upside here. I don't think he's not a horrible road course guy. It's like 24th. And I think that he's one that can go out there and actually, I didn't really see him off the track too much. I don't know what the issue was with him that he couldn't qualify, but I think that they'll be fine with this. Alpha Prime Racing is decent mid-level team. So I think that I have confidence that he'll be able to do good and play him cash. And Alex Lebay, I'm going to play him as prime. Stefan Parsons drove this car during summer qualifying, and then I think LeBay actually finally got there because his plane got delayed or travel or got stuck in traffic, something like that. And but the car is 21st in practice between the two of them. It caught fire coming to the end, and it was like leaking oil and stuff. But if it's just a line blew or something, it should be there was no damage. There was no evidence on track that anything happened. It just seemed like it was just a mechanical failure. But I think that's why it's great to have this practice. So I think they fixed it and everything should be good with that. And he's definitely a really, really good road course driver. So he's not a 37th place car. I think because of the driver change with like the qualifying and stuff, you might have to start towards the back, but still I see him cutting his way up through the field. And Kyle Weatherman, I don't know what happened here too. I'm assuming this with JD Motorsports car is not the greatest tech wise. I didn't see him have an accident or anything, but that's why I'm a GPP. But I think he's another great place differential guy that you can look at. So Ellis LeBay, Sieg, there's a lot of really cheap guys to pair with like Hemrick and some of the guys up top. So I would take these place differential guys down below, probably 3 to 4 of them, and then go up top and pick your favorite 2 drivers or go 3 top, 3 bottom. I think that's how I'm going to build my lines tomorrow. So I got for you. I'm going to get off, drink some to try to get my voice back and my mouth calmed down a little bit after my surgery, and then I will be doing the truck video tonight, which will be at Richmond, a nice night race for that race before the playoffs. So it should be very exciting. So I look forward to that video. So, please, if these videos help you help by already watching this, and we get like we do have all 3 series, so we get over 2,000 views between the 3 videos, and Cup's been getting close to 1,000 or over 1,000 each week. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's like a lot of time and effort to put in all this research and get all this information put together for you. And it just feels so worthwhile when you see like people actually watch it and reach out to you and say, hey, this really helped, and I'm really glad, or give us feedback on how we can do things better and help you more. So Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. It really helps, like, these times in life where you just really like want to take the weekend off and just recover. But, it's like something I feel is really important and I really, really enjoy doing for you. So I'm just glad to be able to do it. So to help us out, just please like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We're getting so close to 4,500, and then we're hoping to make it by 5,000 by the end of the year. Probably won't get there, but maybe by next year as we continue to grow. So thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends so they can see this cool stuff that we're doing for free to try to help people out with DFS NASCAR. We do golf and Major League Baseball also. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat below. Hit me up at regular31 on X, I guess now. It's not Twitter anymore, but you know where I mean. And if you want more information on FSi DFS and you want to get into our Discord, it's like $5 a week, $15 a month. Really, really cheap. Go to the description of the video. You can go to the website and sign up there. So, and I've seen a lot of you come in and do it. And it's really great seeing a lot of new faces in the Discord and talking with you and help you with you building your lineups and things like that. So appreciate all that. So I'm going to sign off here. Good luck in your contest. Hope you have a great weekend. Check out the Truck and Cup videos coming up. I'm Egro31, and I'll see you next time.